and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name is Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmert. Today's special guest perfected the art of running really fast, in heels nonetheless, while playing final girl Pam MacDonald in the 1981 slasher The Prowler. And when her deputy boyfriend gets knocked out in the final act, she takes matters into her own hands and goes head-to-head with the killer. And let's just say that finale is explosive. Please welcome to the podcast, Vicky Dawson.
Hello, guys. So nice to meet you.
It's so nice to have you on. And, I read that you were born in Columbus, Ohio, which, by the way, Tim is from that area. So,
well,
yeah.
Have you heard of Hilliard?
It does actually sound familiar. My family had a farm in Washington Courthouse, which is about an hour south of Columbus.
Oh, okay.
So I've heard of a lot of those little towns over the years, but
Dublin, Westerville.
Yeah.
Up Arlington.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, Tim could talk about Ohio for days. But to finish that off, but then I read that you were raised actually in New Jersey and began acting at the age of 10. So my question is, how did you first get involved in acting, and what was it like acting at such a young age?
It was one of those, my mom is a wonderful actress and my dad is also involved, not professionally, but they were, there was always that kind of stuff going on. And I did a play in like fourth grade and I was the best letter E that there ever was. So my mom thought, maybe she would like to do something like this. And so she pursued it and we got connected with the manager in New York, and then it just kind of went from there. And I really did want to do it. I wasn't one of those kids where I was shackled to the parents forcing you to do all these things. I loved it. I have such a passion for it.
Wait, now, how did you get the part of letter E? Was there a significance in that?
Apparently, I just beat out all the other kids, and then they beat me up at recess.
I really wanted E. D and F were not good enough.
Letter
E.
Terrible, awful. You just want to be the E, because E is used. You're on stage way more often than if you're, the letter F, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
well,
I could shine. Yeah.
I mean, who knew elementary theater would be so competitive?
I can believe it.
Actually, I do.
Yeah,
High school,
yeah, we're both theater people from high school. I mean, shocker. We're so animated, of course. Look, you guys aren't. No,
musical theater.
I can't sing a note, but I can wing.
Doesn't matter. You're a guy.
That's true.
Absolutely matter. Yeah,
that's true. When there were 80 girls auditioning for Kim McAfee, there were 6 for who was the star of Bye Bye Birdie? What was that?
It was Anne Margaret, right?
Yeah. That role was so coveted, but guys, it was come on in.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. It's just the way of the world, right?
I did mostly plays. I was in one musical in the background of Little Shop of Horrors because I was not a singer, but I loved to act. And I was like, well, can I at least be in this? So they gave me in high school, every side part that didn't involve singing.
What a fun show to be in, though.
Yes.
Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah.
Oh, great one.
I could sing. Audrey would be my go-to.
You'd be a fantastic Audrey.
Thanks, but I can't sing, so I really wouldn't be.
I'm just thinking of Little Shop of Horrors without the music. That'd be a very dark.
It'd be a dark show.
It would, but you guys might like that.
That's true.
That's true. So when looking through your IMDb page, I noticed that as a kid, you were in an after-school special called Rookie of the Year with Jodie Foster. Now, what was that like? And do you have any memories of working with Jodie?
Yeah, absolutely. That was exciting for me because that was my first job that wasn't a commercial. So that was sort of my first real, acting role. And I believe I was up for the lead. And then usually if they find someone that's more of a celebrity or whatever, more well-known, they're going to go for the smaller part. They're going to cast somebody that doesn't look anything like that person, someone very opposite. So when Jodie kind of bumped me for the lead role, they still kept me for the sidekick best friend, which was surprising because I do think we look alike, But anyway, that's the way it worked out, and it was fun to do. I do remember her being very, in my mind, avant-garde because she spoke French, and it was a Canadian crew, and I think she was at a French, not boarding school, but private school or something like that, and so she was very much speaking to them in French, and I just kind of sat there like a big idiot, oui. So I do remember looking at her and thinking, wow, she's really smart and fun. And we communicated for a while. And then I actually saw her when she was going to Yale. We met with friends somewhere in New York, but that's it. I don't see her or know her now, really. But yeah.
You're like rookie of the year, right?
Yeah, rookie of the year. No, I remember she was professional. And yeah, I started to watch when I started to do projects other than commercials and just learn from people who were professional and learn from people who weren't, what not to do. So Jodie always stands out to me as a one-up gal, took it very seriously, very bright, very determined, and a very good actress, and now director. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say what a great role model or person to look up to, especially like where her career went. And yeah, I mean, in horror too. I mean, like Silence of the Lambs being one of the only horror films that has won Best Picture as an Oscar.
It won all of them: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and Best Actor. Yeah.
Classic, yeah.
And so I'm a huge soap fan, and you did Another World, like a good 5 episodes. What was your storyline, and what was it? A crazy soap story?
I actually was on Another World for about 2 years, and
2 years.
Yeah, it was. I was on with when Ray Liotta was on, so we were like the big love story. And then I was on another show, same NBC show. So they decided. I don't know. They decided that I was going to go do that one and I couldn't do both. So they literally wrote me off because I had always a big storyline on that show and it was wonderful to work on that show. But I was going to go off on this other show and within 24 hours, I got married. I was in my honeymoon suite with Ray Liotta. I got up to go to the bathroom with a little headache, had a brain tumor. And the next morning, as it is in soaps, he hit on the nurse that was wheeling my body to the morgue.
No way. Wait. You know why
we always soap operas for you.
I love soaps.
We asked this question because, well, first off, we interview tons of people who started in soaps, and every storyline is always crazy. So we always ask because it's never like, oh, I was on a number of episodes, and we had dinner and had a nice family. It's always something like that.
It's always crazy, yeah.
Well, they have to move fast because they got to keep us coming back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So
yeah, they got to tease you and Yeah, it's crazy. Some of it's so crazy you just laugh through it and it's fun. But hey, people, I guess they still watch it. I don't know. I haven't seen a soap in years, but
I've been watching it forever. Yeah, I haven't stopped.
Good. Wait, are you a diehard like CBS fan or?
I watch. I can't commit to The Young and the Restless because that's an hour, but I can do The Bold and the Beautiful because it's 30 minutes, and I've watched it since 1999 when I got my wisdom teeth pulled.
Oh, okay.
I love The Bold and the Beautiful.
Well, it's so funny because I'm kind of in an obscure area, but not next door, but the next house. Kimberlyn Brown, who's been on Bold and the Beautiful for years.
Sheila Carter. Yeah.
It's like one house for me. And so here we are, these like soap opera people in this odd little area. But yeah, I guess she's a real nasty person on that show.
Yeah, she's terrible. She kills and she's scheming.
I better not walk by her house anymore.
Does she give you free avocados? She always talks about her avocados.
Yeah, she's got this huge property. And yeah, she hasn't given me any free avocados, but there's so many around here. It's like when you give people avocados here, they're like, oof. Thanks so much. I mean, you can only, make so much guacamole.
Oh my God. I'll take those free avocados.
You're welcome anytime. I'll give you so many avocados.
That's amazing. So we also saw that from 1979 to 1980, you were part of the main ensemble cast for the variety show Hot Hero Sandwich. Now, was this like a Saturday Night Live type of show with sketches and celebrity guests and such?
Exactly. It was like Saturday Night Live for kids. It was the Saturday Night Live writers and also Sesame Street writers. So you can imagine that strange dynamic. And it was an amazing show to work on, very long hours, but it was fun because there was like bands that would come in and celebrities that were being interviewed and a great troupe of people that, we would just do like Saturday Night Live. We have recurring characters and we would just do sketches. So it was really great fun training.
Any crazy recurring characters you remember playing that stand out to you?
Because I was the blonde, I sort of played like the whatever, some of the classic dumb blonde girls. and I don't remember the names of some of my recurring characters, but we had like the puberty fairy. I mean, we had things that kids could relate to, and then the celebrities would talk about similar experiences growing up, or so. But it was fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun. I feel like people are missing out.
We were in the Saturday Night Live studio because they were on hiatus, and my dressing room was John Belushi's dressing room.
Oh my gosh!
So I remember I just opened like side closet, and all of this, I think it was like crocheting or knitting or something. It was just like a string. It was all coiled up, and somebody said that he would do that. I don't even know if this is true, but so that he would do that before the shows, like because he was nervous, just like continue to do the same stitch over and over. So it was like this big coil of.
I mean, at that time,
I don't know.
He was like the biggest thing ever. I mean, like he was pulp culture at the time.
Yeah. This was probably 3 years before he died, I would say.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, crocheting to get rid of anxiety. I'm thinking like, I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
I mean, I've crocheted before, and knitting is nerve wracking because you got to follow a pattern, and you see mistakes. Like crocheting is the same thing over and over, and it just builds on its own, and it's relaxing because you can watch TV. I don't do so much anymore, but I can see where that would be relaxing. I don't even know, honestly, if that's a true story, but I know I was in his dressing room, and I saw other things of his, and that's what they said about that. So I will just say, okay, that sounds good to me.
Sounds true to us, as it was like the cleaning person who came in and threw that.
Just stuffed it in there.
Yeah,
well, they know everything anyway. So.
That's true. And growing up, were you a fan of horror movies at all? Like, did the cast of what was the show called?
Hot Hero Sandwich?
Yeah. Did you guys not go see horror movies together or anything?
No, not at all. Actually, I think I did the Prowler after that. I think that it was after, but I remember being obsessed with the Poseidon Adventure. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think I saw that 10 times at least.
Oh, wow.
So that one happened because we always ask people like, what horror films or thrillers or something had an impact on you as a kid? So that one did?
Well, that one, and then Rosemary's not Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist. I didn't even really watch it because it scared me. It scared me so much I couldn't really watch it. That really scared me.
You're not alone.
Yeah, but honestly, it's not my genre. I'm embarrassed to say that when I went back to the thing 5 years ago, they were like, "Oh, the final girl." And I was like, "What is that?" Like, I didn't even know what that term was.
Do you see Tim's shirt that says Final Boy? Yeah.
Final Boy.
Yeah.
Now that I know, I'm like, oh, I was the final girl. I made it through alive. Like, I get it. But I just never, at that time, nobody ever said it. I don't know when that term became a thing. And because I haven't really dealt with horror movies since then, I just never heard it. So
I'm going to misspeak because I don't know exactly when it came to be, but I know it wasn't around in the 80s when final girls were becoming like a trope, but like it really just refers to, it's like there was always like a girl in a slasher movie who was the last one that made it through, that faces off with the killer and doesn't get killed even though all her friends do. Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. I guess I just never heard it, and everyone was like, "You're the final girl." I was so perplexed. I had no idea what that meant. So
yeah.
You remind me. So I don't know if you've gotten this. Do you remind me so much of Amy Steele from Friday 13th Part 2? Do you get compared to her a lot?
Well, I think Amy, I don't think she's in the business anymore so much, but actually my friend Julie, Amy, myself, and Jodie, I mean, like, we all look very similar. And yes, I was sort of doing Friday I don't know, she did one of those Fridays, and I was supposed to do one of those Fridays, and I didn't because I had a conflict. When I was on the soaps, I booked a lot of other things, and they were not, I mean, understandably, it was hard for me to be able to get away, especially if it was on location. And I'm under contract to them, so I just couldn't do those things. But I know she ended up doing one of those, and I saw a few clips of it, and I was like, dang, we do look alike,
I mean, it's the parallels are uncanny because not only do you look alike, let me just tell you this. Her Friday the 13th Part 2 came out in 1981, same year as The Prowler, and she has a pitchfork in it that she fights off the killer with, just like you. So I
would love to see a picture of us side by side with a pitchfork.
There's one more comparison. You guys are both go under a bed, and a rat comes up to you under the bed at the same time.
Well, somebody copied somebody, don't you
Oh,
think?
Well, but I
I
mean,
didn't know all this because I haven't seen that movie, but that
Oh, yeah.
sounds a little too.
We don't know who copied
and
him.
then there's a Prowler. No, just kidding. No, no, but it is really weird that these movies come out at the same time. But you know, in the early '80s, there was kind of a formula that people had for slasher movies, so it's not like the biggest surprise. But so moving on to 1981's The Prowler, which, by the way, it's one of those. We're a huge '80s slashers fans. It's one of the ones we revisit all the time. We love it. Now this was your very first feature film, correct?
I guess so. You can probably tell me that.
We thought, yeah, I thought looking it through your resume, but you know, sometimes there's TV movies and things. But what do you remember, if anything, about the actual audition for the role of Pam? Like, do you remember what they had you read, or if there were callbacks or anything?
I do remember like a callback or something, and I do remember reading. I don't remember anything else specifically. So I don't remember too much about the audition process, honestly. I remember way more about the location and the actual shooting of it. I don't remember anything remarkable. So I think it was just like any other audition. You get the audition, you go in, if you get a call back, and I ended up booking it. I don't think there was anything like a chemistry read with people, because I don't remember meeting anybody until I was there. So I think it was pretty quick.
Did they have you read for multiple roles or just strictly Pam MacDonald?
I don't remember. They probably in their mind were keeping it open for any of the roles, and maybe they did, honestly, but I don't remember. Although
Yeah,
I would have been, well, I wasn't going to do the nudity, and I think that gal sort of regretted it, honestly, and then I wasn't really right for the other role, so they probably were just thinking of me for Pam.
yeah. Did you know? I mean, you get the part, and obviously you see the script, and even though you didn't know what Final Girl was, it must have been nice to see, oh, I'm the one who survives and gets through it,
I get
right?
paid the most because I'm there the longest.
And you know, so after you got cast as, and you know, Pam is this very likable, very responsible character. Was there anything you did to prepare for the role? Like, did you watch any slashers to get used to the formula?
No, I think I was coming off a show, or no, I didn't. I really didn't. I mean, I could lie to you and say, yes, I was so, blah, blah, blah. And I research all the time for roles. So it's not like I'm just like a fly by night, but for that, I just don't. I remember trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my dog? And, because I think it was almost 3 months. Like, it was a long shoot, at least 2.5 months. And it was night shooting because most of it was exterior at night. So we got on that schedule where we were sleeping during the day and shooting at night. But I don't know. I mean, I was young then, and you just, something comes your way, you jump on, and there you are.
No, totally get it. I mean,
that's something the movie really, like, it's so authentic. Like, it's not like you're in a studio, because like Scream 5 is filmed in a studio, and you can tell.
she's like, oh, of course, I've seen Scream 5 so many times. Yeah. So one of the things about The Prowler was directed by Joseph Zito, who 3 years later, funny enough, went on to direct Friday the 13th Part 4. So obviously he must be a fan of horror. What was Joseph's directing style like? Like, do you any fun stories remember from working with him?
I feel like consistency, I don't feel like it was ever a stressful set. I feel like he obviously knew what he was doing, because there was never issues. You're always running a little behind, but that's kind of always the case. And there were some times we had to work late to get stuff done, but that's just the way it goes. So I just remember him kind of having a good, cool set, everybody doing their job, and there wasn't a lot of drama, if you know what I mean.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
One thing that I read that he said about Cape May, New Jersey, where The Prowler was filmed, that it had a ghost town feel to it. Do you agree with that? What was it like for you to film in that area?
Well, it was the fall, so it would be chilly and windy, and that always helps create that feeling. I mean, it's actually a very charming town, and it's quite a draw in the summer and that kind of thing. But the houses are Victorian and big, and yeah, it lends itself certainly to that kind of feel. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you were filming, was it called originally Graduation? And then when did it change to The Prowler? And what do you know why it was changed to The Prowler?
I really don't know. I mean, I would assume that they just wanted to shift the focus to really what the whole rest of the movie was about, because it was just that opening scene was the graduation from the 40s or whatever. I don't know, or maybe there was another movie. You know, there's so many things. Maybe it was a legal thing. I don't know.
Yeah, there's another horror film called Graduation Day. But
yeah,
I think the Prowler is superior,
which came out in 1981 again.
Yeah, I think it's a better name.
Yeah. So, one of the other big names involved in the Prowler was special effects and makeup wizard Tom Savini, who's done effects for tons of horror films, and by that time he had already actually worked on the original Friday the 13th and a film called Maniac. Now, we'll get to the big ending in a little bit, but did you get to work much with Tom, or was he like always around setting up all the death scenes?
I count working with him like my greatest takeaway from the Prowler, because that was sort of iconic in a way, as there was like no CGI. All of the effects were practical. It was like doing a stage play. And so he was really the master behind all of that. And he had some sort of a large warehouse. It was almost like a full city block. I mean, it was huge. And I, unfortunately, wasn't really involved in any of those, but he had he had all of his magic going on. And I would go in there, and I did end up taking my dog. I would go in there with my little dog on a leash, and I'd walk around and look at all the stuff he was doing. And he was really nice, as I recall. He would school me on a certain thing, and he was showing me how condoms were like probably like the number one part of his craft, because it looks like skin and you can fill it with, paint that looks like blood. And so that was like one of his big tools of the trade there.
Did you know that, Tim? I never knew he used condoms for stuff.
This movie's blood is probably like, obviously Matt and I have seen a ridiculous amount of horror films, but the blood in this film is so red. And I don't know, what's it called? Color coding after the movie's made or something?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was needed, but every death scene in this movie is so well crafted.
Yeah, it's very Tom Savini.
Yeah, like the 13s, they probably were like under the
still figuring things out, and
they couldn't do as much because it was a Paramount movie and there was much more eyes were on it. But this movie gets away with a lot of really red blood
and just brutality.
Yes.
The thing is, and we heard you mention in a Q&A, I think it may have been the anniversary one actually, that Lisa Dunsheath, who plays Sherry, the one who gets brutally pitchforked to death while showering, was not so happy about having to do a nude scene. Can you tell our listeners the story of what happened with all of that?
I just think it was something that like all of us have in our lives, where you think, okay, yeah, that's all right. I can do that. That's part of a whole thing that really looks great. And then you just kind of get there, and it's like, I wish that I hadn't said that I would, and I don't really, I've never seen her since then. And I don't know how she reconciled it, if she got okay with it, if it's bothered her all these years. I have no idea, but I just know that she kind of had some second thoughts there. And so it was just one of those things.
Was she thinking of just like pulling out of the movie, or she just was just not happy about it?
I just think I think the day was looming, and I think she was getting nervous about it. And I just think I remember counseling her, like, you do have a choice. You can say, I shouldn't have said I could do this. And we were just at the beginning, so it wasn't like they had footage ever yet. But you've signed a contract, and that will follow you, that you've agreed to something and now you're breaking that, but it's also going to follow you to do it, so you put yourself in this situation. I probably didn't say it quite like this, but that's it. We all have those choices when you get there, and you've got to make your choice. And she made her choice to do it. And I hope she, is at peace with it, and a long time ago, and whatever, I honestly don't know where she ended up with it emotionally.
I think, I obviously I don't know what she was thinking at the time, but it's like there's one aspect of it is that, you're in a shower and you're naked, and that's obviously you're being vulnerable and showing that to the camera. But then there's the fact that she gets so brutally murdered while naked in the shower. It's like the pitchfork is just drawn into her. So I'm just like, I get it.
Well, that was all form or whatever too. So she had to go through all that with, in Tom Savini's just getting the I don't even know what the material was. Honestly, I don't know that much about it, but just
condoms.
Were you
No.
on set when the death scenes were being filmed, like the one in the swimming pool?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't on set like called, but usually they were doing many things. So we're all kind of there. If you're not in the scene, you're around waiting for the next scene that you are in or whatever. So I remember them doing it, but also if you're not in a scene, and I was working a lot, and I would probably be taking a break somewhere or curling up and trying to get some sleep or, whatever, because there was long hours and it was a little bit of a jolt to be working nights and then
Yeah.
not sleeping during the day too well because you're not used to that. So it's
So,
fine.
so you weren't sitting there watching all the scenes like with popcorn.
Not all the time. No, it's a job, you guys, like anything.
Yeah.
I mean, like the one thing my big takeaway from the Prowler was that each death scene was like he kicked her in the face. Like it's so drawn out. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like it must have just been like hard on especially the actress. Like it'd be so
Well, she's in the
tough.
pool too. I just
Yes.
finished a film yesterday. It was raining down here. It was horrible weather and it was a pool where I had to like just be, thank goodness, just my feet like up to my knees all day long though. It was so cold. I was so cold last night. I thought, oh my gosh. So working in a pool like she had to do was
She's a
hard.
trooper.
Yeah. So one thing I noted in the intro, and I really think you deserve mad praise for this, is how fast you run during these chase scenes. Like, but seriously, we watch so many horror films where someone's supposed to be, running from the killer, but they're either taking their sweet time or it's just you don't believe that they're truly running for their lives. But in this film, like you seem to be running at full speed. So was all that running tough to do, especially in those white heels?
Well, you're so funny. You're very generous when you say heels. Those were character shoes. Talk about musical theater. I mean, they're fugly. Let's face it. They look like old lady in the dress too. So they were comfortable. So I could do all those stairs at 100 miles an hour and run. And I guess I didn't think of it because I'm not necessarily an athlete. I could never be on school teams and stuff because I was always working, or I liked horseback riding or those kinds of things. So I'm not really athletic.
Did
But
did
yeah, I
Joseph
didn't. Um,
did Joseph ever tell you to like, oh, we didn't get you, you ran past the camera. Like you're
oh
going
yeah,
too fast.
sure. And go back up and do the whole thing again. No, I never remember feeling physically. Oh, a few times, like one of the, I don't know, I had bruises on my arm from one of those things with one of the characters, but that was it. Like that movie, actually, I had no physical like issues with, or yeah, nothing. It
So
was easy.
no major mishaps or trips while you're running that
No,
fast?
first thing was the rat thing, and that to me was like a personal. I mean, I don't mind spiders, I don't mind snakes, I don't mind. I'm not like freaky about stuff, but I do not like rats. I really don't. I hate them. So that was huge, and they did hold them by their tails and make them a darker gray with a toothbrush.
Oh wow.
Is not humane, I suppose. Now that would probably be a big problem. So they were pissed, when they let them out to come toward me. They were not in a good mood.
How did they know that the rat wasn't gonna? I mean, I guess I don't know enough about rats, but
Well,
like, how
thank
did they know it
goodness
wasn't gonna
I
bite
know where
you?
you're going, and I'm glad I didn't think about that then.
Do they bite?
Well,
Do they
yeah,
bite?
rats can
Well,
bite.
they didn't, but they could have, I suppose.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
also
would,
like, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, that's fine.
It's like it looks cold at night, and like you were just wearing like a little tiny dress, and like the other guy's like a cop, and he's got like a jacket. Thank gosh he does give you his
He
jacket.
does, yes, he does. But it was cold because it was, like I said, fall, and it was cold. Yeah.
Oh,
So you were you constantly freezing while filming? Like, how did you
I would
adapt to
I would
working
just
like
put
that?
a coat on, when we're cut and they're setting up or whatever. You wear a coat, then you take it off and you try not to shiver.
I mean, the running fast probably helped also.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, another random fact trivia thing you can get on the internet, I read on IMDb, was that the cemetery scenes when you and Mark discover Lisa's body in the grave were filmed on Halloween night 1980, and that the grave that you used was an actual open grave awaiting a funeral. Is that true?
I hope they had a permit to do that, unless everybody shows up. It's like, what? I don't remember that it was Halloween night, but yes, I guess it was. And I do remember the open grave, and I do remember it being creepy. But, I don't ask questions. I just show up and say the lines, and, you know,
No, but that's good. I was going to say, if sometimes knowing too much, like you said with the route, could freak you out. Like if, let's say, and again, not all the IMDb stuff is accurate, anybody can put it on, but like, let's say it was an actual grave that was awaiting a body, that probably would have freaked you out a little.
I didn't know that. But I also
couldn't
wasn't
Google
sure.
it.
I mean, it's better. That's better than that they dug it up and like took the, I mean, I don't know. Either way, it's kind of creepy. And I don't think I was down inside it. Like, I think character Mark was down inside it. I don't remember myself having to do that. So, yeah.
No, I just want to know who was in that grave today.
We'll never know.
So another thing that I love about your character in this film is that even though your love interest, Deputy Mark, tries to make Pam go back to the dance and stay there out of harm's way, Pam insists on going with them to look for the killer. You know, she's kind of tough, and she doesn't just sit back letting her boyfriend do all the fighting. So looking back, do you feel pride in having played a character who kind of subverted the typical gender roles of the time?
I didn't necessarily think about it that way, but I guess I am a strong person. And I guess I don't know, if you have a mission, you complete it. And so I didn't really think of it like, I am woman, hear me roar. It's just like, this is something that you got to do. And whether, whoever you are, you do it.
Yeah, no. But the funny thing is that especially in like the early 80s, there was a lot of the boyfriend wanting to take care of things and saying like, you wait behind or something. And so it felt like it was definitely different, only because we've watched so many of these movies that Pam is like, no, I'm going with you. I'm going to fight this guy. Like, I'm not going to just let you do this. And he's a cop, so he very much could have just taken care of it himself, but you wouldn't let him do that, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that's nice. I never really thought of it, honestly. It's just, I mean, that would be in the writing. You'd have to thank the writer for that.
Well, you also were stuck at the punch bowl when he came into the dance, and
I was stuck at that punch bowl. Like, that was an editing thing. Like, when I saw that, I remember I was like, how long am I at that punch bowl?
Like, and then he came in, and your friend Lisa, her name was Lisa, right?
Yeah.
And she would dance with him. So were we supposed to think like your friend was no longer a friend, and we're supposed to be okay with her getting killed by the pool?
I don't know. Maybe they were preparing you to feel that way because that's pretty mean. But I do remember that scene going on forever. And when they're shooting it, you'll do 100 takes looking over, like being pissed and serving your punch and all that. But I feel like there were 100 takes in the movie, continuing me looking over. I thought that was a lot.
Lisa got her comeuppance in that swimming pool.
Yeah.
No, but it is funny, like
Don't
Tim saying,
don't do that anymore.
like he's coming in there and she steals him away to go dance, and she obviously knows that you're dating him. It's just so underhanded.
It's like, because I mean, I have a soap brain, so I was like, is she trying to steal the cop? Like,
Vicky, have you been thinking about that for 44 years? You've been thinking, what was she really thinking in the Prowler?
Keeps me up at night, guys.
You're like, before I go to sleep, I just have to
just to think about that punch bowl.
Figure this one out.
Okay, so now moving on to that explosive finale. Now, spoiler alert, and I mean, it's not really a spoiler alert because it's been 44 years, and if you haven't seen The Prowler, you need to see it because it's one of the best 80s slashers. But so just to kind of go through how it goes down, Mark, the deputy, gets knocked out by the Prowler, leaving you to face him alone. And first, the character of Otto, a side character, comes in and shoots the Prowler, but this doesn't kill him, and sadly he ends up blowing Otto away with a shotgun. Now, is it true, because I think I heard you say this, that you didn't actually film that scene with the actor who played Otto and that it was just edited together?
Yes, because of scheduling problems. So, I mean, and it's an intense scene, and I don't know. So people have asked me about it over the years, and I just never met him. I never met him. And then I did see him on the street in New York, like years later. And that was quite odd. But yeah, I mean,
what happened?
It does happen in films where you don't necessarily meet people and you are in the same scene just because of the way they shoot it. But that one was like especially odd just because there was so much going on and it was so intense. But
by the way, did you know, I would have never guessed that was edited together.
Edited so well. I was like, oh, they're all three there. Yeah.
What happened when you ran into him in person years later?
Well, he sort of seemed like Otto-ish, like he was sort of just walking and and I kind of did a double take. And as I remember, I think I just said, hey, did you ever play Otto? And he stopped and he looked at me. And so I'm assuming, you know, that was the right guy. And he just went like that. And I was like, hey. And I just kept walking. I don't know. We never really had a conversation. I think I was probably in a rush. In New York, you're always in a rush, you know. So, but yeah, so it was kind of funny.
I love that.
Because he's a remarkable looking person. I mean, he doesn't, you know, it's not like he just looks like anybody else. He's
distinct. Yeah.
Bill Hugh Collins actually is the name of the actor. I would love it if that actually wasn't him and it was just someone who just nodded.
Who knows? But yeah, it's so funny.
That's such a random, but you know, I mean, that kind of thing happens in New York and LA all the time. I just love that you yelled and said, "Did you play Otto?"
He might have just thought I was like a fan. You know, I don't even know if he knew. He probably didn't know who I was.
He's like, sure, lady.
Yeah, probably.
And how much, wait, and approximately, like, is this like 20 years later, 30 years later?
Probably, oh man, I don't know, maybe like 15 years later, because I left. I mean, I go back to New York to visit, but because I've been out here. So maybe like 15 years later, you know, it wasn't like within the last 15 years. It was closer to back then.
Oh, then he should remember. But anyway, so after Otto gets killed, the big explosive finale is you finally unmask the Prowler and, oh my God, surprise, reveals it to be the sheriff. And then after a long struggle, you're able to get the shotgun under his chin and literally blow his entire head apart. I mean, it's a pretty amazing effect. So I had to ask, do you remember how that was done and like how long that took to film?
Yeah, we did everything, and the choreography of all of that we never had a chance to rehearse it. So we did spend a lot of time. I think it was 2 days in that room. Literally, the choreography was like a dance because everything had to be very specific so that we would end up in the position for the big event, which did not take place there. It took place weeks later or months later. I have no idea when they did it in a studio with probably 4 or 5 camera setups because they could only do it once. You know, because that, again, Tom Savini did up a whole head that they were going to blow up into smithereens. And so they wanted to get it from all the different angles. So that was a day or a week or whatever they did in and of itself that I was no part of. So we did everything up until the point where, you know, I pulled the trigger, and then they just did that in a very controlled environment.
So so then you did the whole scene but then you never saw the actual explosion being filmed. So what did you think when you first saw it in the film?
That was pretty intense. Yeah.
Like, what? I blew his head apart. Like, yeah, it is. It's an amazing effect. I actually read that he really pulled the trigger on a real shotgun to explode that head, which is like scary and crazy at the same time. But hey, it's Tom Savini.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, I just read that.
Well, I mean, gruesomely, I'm assuming a head explodes a certain way based on, you know, the firearm. I don't really know, but I'm sure he wanted it to be as authentic as, you know, he could. So, but again, you can only do that once because that was a lot of work to do that one head. So it wasn't like they were like, bring in the next head. I mean, maybe they had a backup, but I really don't think they did. I think that it was a one-shot deal, and they wanted to get it from every angle they possibly could, so that if it didn't look good in one angle, they had something from another angle.
I'm just imagining, like, as you're filming that scene, it's like such a struggle, and you finally get to the part where you get the shotgun up between the head, and then they're like, "Cut! Okay, that's all we need you for."
Cut dinner.
Yeah, cut. You're good. Thanks, Vicky. See you later. You know, it's just funny. It's like, yeah.
Oh, was that the last scene you filmed? I mean, did they do it in order?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, but speaking of it in order, just like most horror movies, there's one final scare, but this one's a little confusing because it's the dead body of your friend's boyfriend comes alive and like lunges out at you in the shower. Now, did you interpret this as like more of a hallucination because of what Pam had just went through?
You know what? If you can tell me, I would appreciate it. Because I don't really understand any of the things that you just said could be what it is. And I heard they did that in case they were going to do a Prowler 2 or whatever. I don't know. But I don't know if it was the event was so stressful that's kind of how I did it as an actor, because I don't know. It didn't make sense any other way to me.
I mean, it couldn't. Like literally, that guy got a bayonet through his head. So
I knew he was dead. I knew that everything she went through, she probably was having hallucinations.
Kind of where that's where I landed on it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's got to be that. But I think the reason why it wasn't as clear is that usually when there's a final scare like that, like then the character wakes up from a dream, or like eyes pop open and you know that they hallucinated. In this one, it just kind of ends.
Well, she was having
I do think they were leaving the door open for for, I don't know. I think that's what they were doing. I don't know why and how that would, but
well, at that time, they did Carrie had that famous scare at the end, and then Friday 13th. So it was a pattern, but it was a good pattern. I thought it worked.
It was good. It just like, again, I think for me, it's like maybe if Pam had just woken up, I'd be like, okay, it's 100% a dream.
Matt, they're not going to give that to you.
Yeah, come on, let's go back. Joseph Zito, let's do that new ending. Vicky, can we do a reshoot real quick?
And was there like a cast and crew screening when it was all wrapped, and was like a red carpet premiere? Like, what did you think when you saw it on the big screen for the first time? Like, especially all the death scenes. Were you just like, oh my God?
I think I honestly don't remember the premiere for this movie, and I don't know if I could. I'm thinking that I couldn't make it. I don't know why, unless they didn't have one, but I don't remember one. I remember seeing it at like a New Jersey theater with a friend who was like, and people behind us were like talking, and he was like, shh. I mean, this is how I saw the movie. I don't remember seeing it. Maybe I did. Sorry, it was so long ago. I don't remember us all being together and enjoying a big premiere. So either I missed it or it never happened.
Oh, I wonder, it wasn't, premieres weren't like on every film at that point. Like when we talk to people.
Expensive,
yeah. But that's so funny that so the first time you saw it after you wrapped is just in a random New Jersey theater.
Public. What was that like?
There weren't very many people there.
Oh, really?
Which made it weirder.
I've been lucky. I saw it at a Revival House screening, and it was packed. So it's really, really a fun movie to see with like a packed
I think it's honestly more popular now. Although it did, my mom saved this thing for me, the New York Times, the top 10 of the week or whatever. And I had done a movie, Carbon Copy. And that week, both the Prowler and the Carbon Copy were top 10. So she had framed that for me. That was really cool. But I don't know. I mean, it was a smaller film, and I just don't know that they necessarily did them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What, and you kind of said this, but I mean, and maybe you don't know for sure, but had you heard any talk of them wanting to do like a Prowler Part 2 or wanting you back for a sequel?
I never heard anything, and I don't think anything, if there was talk about it, I wasn't included, or maybe there just was never talk about it. I never heard anything after,
I mean, you could watch this and be like, well, they killed the Prowler. How can there be Prowler 2? But you know how with horror movies, there could be another Prowler.
Yeah.
The other Prowler. Yeah.
The worst, the twin that's even worse than the first Prowler. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's possible. That movie, I mean, the Prowler's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, it's been 44 years since then. But when do you think, because you even said it's more popular now than it was then, but when do you think you first became aware that the Prowler had such a cult following?
When I went back to do that anniversary, I was sort of surprised that they even asked me to do something anyway. And I thought there would be like 2 people there. There were so many people there. And they were like, what do your kids think about it? I mean, if you guys watched that, then my kids have never seen it. My kids could have cared less about that, and I don't know. It was just a movie I made. I never really thought about it until they asked me to do that anniversary thing. And I thought, oh, well, that'd be great. I'll go do that. And then I'll go to New York and see some shows and see some friends. And I was really, really taken back at how many people do know of it and still watch it. And, I was like, that's so cool that it has legs and, yeah,
you're so likable, and it like no one wants you to die. So
yeah,
we're
exactly.
all rooting for you, which is a change because usually, like,
I don't know. Talk to my husband. We just had right before the.
And
I do have that. I'm from Kansas, kind of a wholesome.
Yeah.
All American look, I guess.
Oh, definitely. And
you and I.
you and Tim, the Ohio wins.
Yeah.
Ohio. You, Tim, and Amy Steele.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's go on vacation. Yeah.
Absolutely. Top Arlington. And why do you think like slasher fans have really held on to this movie? Like, what do you think the appeal is?
That's a very good question. Can you answer that?
We can give you our thoughts. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause
it's so
I
funny.
honestly
Yeah.
wouldn't know what to say to that.
I mean, and I'm sure maybe we have different answers, but I think like, it came, I love where I'm answering the question, but, it was the heyday of slasher films. And so there were tons, but not every slasher film had a villain that was truly scary, B, kills that were really brutal and like sadistic, and C, a final girl that you could really kind of feel for and was likable and you wanted to survive. So I think you put all three of those together and you have a quality 80s slasher film, and that's what the Prowler was.
Yeah, I think it checks all the boxes. Like you have an eerie setting, you have a hot young cast, you do have a scary villain, and I'm happy he doesn't do like one-liners.
Oh my God, yeah, he is a scary villain.
Talk.
Yeah.
And like it follows the tropes, but it also, because we've seen so many, it holds up so well. I feel like it could be made today. Like, I mean, I think
Like a remake?
Yeah, like I mean, I don't want a remake, but I mean, like, because this one's so solid. It's a solid film.
Well, I think all those things are definitely valid, but after hearing you speak, I think that literally the legs it stands on it are the special effects. I mean, I think that's what's given it the staying power. Mm-hmm. All those other things are there and it's nice and it supports it, but I think the people they are horror people and they love those kills, they love that red blood, they love the quality of the special effects.
And chase. I mean, the thing is like
and your character shoes.
Yeah, and your character shoes. But no, the chase are good too, because I think slasher fans, yes, we call them like the gore hounds, which is just like more blood, more blood, more blood. We're not really like that, like, blood, whatever. But
I appreciate the craftsmanship.
Yeah, but the chase scenes also, like, we have you running, it's dark, it's scary, running through
the psychological builds. I like those kinds of films.
Yeah, exactly. So I read that you took a break from acting to raise your kids, but decades later you returned to feature films with it's kind of horror adjacent crime drama. It's 2019's Toxicity. And now this was a very different role than the Prowler, because without giving too much away, your character goes to some pretty extreme lengths to keep up a certain impression of her life and such. And by the way, I thought you did a great job in this movie. It's a very serious role. How did you get involved with this film, and what drew you to playing this part?
I just, I auditioned for something, and you audition for things, and sometimes you never hear. You audition for things, and sometimes you do. And this one, I did hear on and connected with Andrew, who wrote it and ended up directing it. And yeah, it was a really challenging role, because I feel like I would want someone to watch that movie and not ever think that what's going to happen at the end could possibly happen, and then watch it again and say at every turn, of course what's going to happen is going to happen. So it was a very hard line to walk and to make believable. And yeah, it was hard. It was a real challenge for me, and I really enjoyed that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, no, and like I said, you did a great job in it. And when you first read the script, were you as shocked when you read the ending as we were watching it?
Yeah, and it was hard to play. And that night that we shot that scene was more upsetting to me than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's just a movie, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Aria, the actor who played my son, it was a really hard one.
I can imagine. Yeah. But I mean, again, it's like I as an actor, I would think it's like almost like it's kind of exciting to play these roles that are so different from you, or so different from things you've played in the past. I'm assuming you haven't played a character like that before, ever.
No, I mean, I look at every character, even though you can say, oh, that's the soccer mom, or that's this, or that's that. Every character is unique and different, and you have to find those things in order to make it interesting and specific. Yeah. So as much as I loved that character and as challenging as it was, I find that with almost every character,
Yeah, no, that's a good way to look at it, and then in 2021, you starred in the thriller Amazon Queen. Now, did you actually get to film along the Amazon River in Brazil, and what was that like?
We did, and it was amazing. And there was that beautiful boat, and we would get on the boat. We would go like I don't know, 1,000 miles or whatever up the Amazon and film all of our stuff, and then turn around and head back, film all of our stuff. And then we would be in Manaus and we would shoot the city stuff while they would reload the boat with all the food and everything, all the stuff that we would need for the next jaunt up the river. So we did that several times, and it was a great experience.
Was it, I mean, I know you're working, but was it also kind of like being on a river cruise, like for real?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like being at camp. And, you can't really tick anybody off because you don't want to get pushed over the side of the boat. I mean, you're in it for the long haul together. Luckily everybody on that shoot was really great, and we had a really fun time together. But yeah, I was thinking, ooh, you get on that boat and there's just a real jerk, you're going to have a long 5 weeks.
You would have to pull a Prowler.
Yeah. I honestly would have considered it.
And did you have any run-ins with wildlife or anything? Hopefully no rats.
No. Oh, well, the scene where we did the night boat thing, I mean, you would look up on the banks and there was a million little red dots everywhere. And that's all eyes of who knows what,
Yikes.
Yeah, it was a little, and you'd hear the howler monkeys all the time. And it was nice though. It was, because I never felt in danger.
So nothing threatening, just like nice wildlife.
Yeah, those jaguars, they're not good for you. Yeah, no, you weren't allowed to go to the bathroom by yourself in the woods. Let's put it that way. You were more willing to have someone hold your hand while you went to the bathroom than be alone.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's funny, in the movie, they kind of put in what I would assume are like stock video shots of wildlife and stuff, but I didn't know.
Marlon Dara, who directed the movie, he is goes against his grain. Like, we had the sloths, we had the anaconda, we had so many things that he could have done that with. And he is so particular. He will sit there with a camera for 20 hours and not move, waiting for real wildlife to go by. Oh. I don't know if maybe there was one or two, but all of that stuff he's gotten, because he's done like so many documentaries, and he's been in 140 countries. So the feature work is sort of like he's just forayed into that. His work is with animals, and that is his love, and he feels it's super cheap to use stock.
Oh, wow. Well, I stand corrected. Because it's such beautiful shots of these animals.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe he just stock. So he really got that footage. That's amazing.
He did. And I don't know if there was maybe one, because I know in some of it he went to Costa Rica to get, because honestly, the animals there are more used to people. And so you have a better chance. Like they'll sneak out a little bit more than in the Amazon, because they're never used to people, at least where we were. So I think it's harder. I'm not sure. I think I heard this from him or someone connected to the film. But no, he's avid about that. And he takes offense to like that kind of stock stuff. He's the real deal when it comes to.
No, I'm glad that you clarified that, because it's so beautiful. Like, in a way, it's so beautifully shot that I was like, how could they get this and all the characters and the film footage? But it's like the whole movie, it's just like, it looks like it could sell vacation footage for river cruises.
Yeah. Well, that's his background. I mean, I think he'd probably rather work with the animals. I think I've even told him this than the actors, because we can be way more difficult sometimes, I think.
So just a couple last questions before we wrap up. Just out of curiosity, have you ever done a horror convention? And if not, would you be open to appearing at one, knowing how popular the Prowler is?
I have never done a horror convention, and I never say no to any opportunity. When it actually comes your way, you look at it a little more specifically and see. But I'm always open to fun things, new things. So.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, we go to horror conventions all the time. Big shocker, but the horror fans, especially of this movie, very dedicated and loyal. And we've talked to a lot of people who they were a little hesitant at first, and then they go to one, and it's like the most fun experience they've ever had. It's just, and they're kind of shocked by the amount of fandom. So, I think you could get a great crowd.
Felt the anniversary thing. I was surprised that anybody even still wanted to even watch it once in a while.
Oh my gosh! I think any true horror fan that we've talked to have seen the Prowler.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And what are you up to today?
Well, I'm still working as an actress, which I love. I have my own business as well, which I've had for quite a while. Just, helping elderly parents, following up with my kids who are all adults now, doing their thing. They're great. And yeah, just having fun and working hard.
Are you also avoiding Sheila Carter right down the road?
I didn't know all this about her character.
Oh yeah, it's great. Her character is on quite a bit. So if you want to tune in CBS,
okay, I will.
Are any new projects that you're working on at the moment you can tell us about? I know you said you had just finished filming something. Is there?
Yeah, I just finished filming something again. It was just a wonderful role for me because there's not, I'm old. And I don't know that my all-American look is in as much, if you know what I mean. So I really appreciate the roles that come along that are meaningful and challenging, and there's a story behind it that's well written. So I love that. So anyway, yes, I just finished something yesterday that was great, and I'm getting ready to work on a play. I love doing the theater too, down here in San Diego with Roustabout's Theater, a play called True West. You probably have heard of it. It's a Sam Shepard play.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to start rehearsals on that.
Matt and I can come see it.
Yeah, we could.
You guys are welcome. You let me know. We'll have dinner and I'll get you some.
Oh, that would be amazing. Oh my God, I love that because we love theater. We love, again, shocker.
It's a great show. Yeah, it's two brothers who basically trying to kill each other through the whole play.
Relatable.
We love it even more.
Yeah, it's a great horror dynamic there.
Love that. And then speaking of horror, would you today be willing to star in another horror film if given the opportunity?
It depends. If it's just like the stupidest thing ever, probably not, but if there's a story to be told and it's well done, I'm sure.
No, that's a good.
I'm calling up Tom Savini.
Yeah, Joseph Zito, Prowler 2. We got Pam.
He's still busy doing his thing. I mean, he's great. So.
I mean, speaking of horror conventions, Tom Savini is at all of them. Like he comes to a ton. Oh yeah. I mean, like he's done, it would take me forever to name all the films he's done, but like Prowler, Friday the 13th, Mania, like a lot of his 80s things are the things he's most known for, I think.
People love that. I mean, that's all they want, really. Yeah.
So he goes to them. I don't know. Does Joseph Zito go to conventions?
I went to Joseph Zito's screening of Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, 35th anniversary. And he was very proud of the movie. Like he was excited to be there. Like good. I got a picture with him. He's really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah.
So
you guys know the Prowler was like the second AD, right?
I think I read that multiple people played. So you mean Under the Mask?
It's pretty much always Peter, who's like the nicest guy in the world. So it was hard to
be scared of him.
Yeah, like put your helmet on and let's go.
It looked so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it looked like but warm. He must have been warm and all that.
Yeah.
Could he see? Because we couldn't see his eyes.
I don't remember. Probably not. Anyway, the nicest guy in the world.
It is funny that you have to be terrified of like the nicest person in the world as the killer.
But we believed you.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you did.
So we have one final question for you, Vicky. We ask
question for the final girl.
The final question for the final girl, and it kind of puts you on the spot a little bit. We ask everyone this: what is one thing that you can tell us about your experience working on the Prowler that you've never told any other interviewer, publication, Q&A screening, your kids? No, even if it's the littlest thing, just one detail. It doesn't even have to be crazy, or it can be about your experience working on the film that you've never talked about before, ever.
Well, I mean, there's way juicier things, but I think I've probably already told them and mentioned them to people. This just came into my mind. This is not very incredible, I don't think, but driving away after we wrapped, leaving Cape May, I was like in my car, and I just remember the road out of there. There was like all these trees. It was like 3 a.m. and I was headed back to New Jersey. And the moon was shining in a certain way. And it was just like the most cinematic look on that road. And I just got I'm getting it now, just overwhelmed with the experience and just the friendships and everything. and I'll just never forget the way that looked driving away. It's like, it's in my mind. So thanks for that question.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because we love hearing that, because yes, some people will answer that and say something very salacious or like, oh, I slept with the second AD. Other people will just...
well, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, that too.
Like, oh, that too, but that's no. But other things, like, that's a really great. I love those kind of memories that people think, oh, nobody's gonna want to hear about it, but like, we want to hear about it, and that's a really cool thing, because anything that sticks out in your mind, especially 44 years later, is a worthwhile memory.
Yeah, that is true. So thank you for making me recall that, because it was a way to emotionally close that experience, but it's something very vivid that just kind of it just fueled every emotion that I had through the whole experience. Was it just in that one vision? So,
and it's so cool that you embrace being in a horror film, because some people we talk to, they're kind of like, I don't even know if I wanted to put it on my resume. Like, like, I love that you're proud of it.
Work, yeah. I should be proud of it. And I know sometimes we'll do things that maybe are not so proud of, but if the intention is there, not everything is gonna always be the success that you hope it is. But hey, if you take it seriously and you grab the bull by the horns and you work hard, you should be proud of it,
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. No, that's a great message for people. And anyway, well, thank you so much, Vicky.
It was so good to meet you guys.
Yeah, this was so much fun for us getting to chat with you. We're gonna maybe we can try and see your show. And because or again, maybe we'll sometime maybe
we'll jump on stage with a pitchfork and go, she was in the Prowler.
We'll all wear character shoes, okay? We have to promise each other.
Oh my God, I love those.
Can you imagine
shoes.
we come like
number.
I promise we're not that creepy. Can you imagine we show up dressed as the Prowler?
Hey, I want to do a tap dance number.
Yeah, dressed as the Prowler. I honestly think that's like a go-to. You guys will sell more tickets probably than our show.
Oh my God. We're like Vicky Dawson, the Prowler, 1981.
Wow.
No, that's funny. But you guys have been great. It's been a great way to spend an hour on a Saturday. So.
Oh, well, thank you for us too. Yes. Thank you. Really, we're really grateful for your time. We wish you nothing but the best, and we hope to stay in touch. And thank you again.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, take care.
Right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after-show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.